What's up, y'all? It's Ty. In this video today, we're going to be doing a tier list of our top receivers in a college football 25 Ultimate Team. Every receiver that is ranked a 95 or higher will be ranked on this tier list. Now, I will say this. Like, a lot of these receivers stat-wise are going to be nearly the exact same. The main differences are going to be, ability-wise, what these guys do end up getting. And again, does that make them great? Does that make them mid-tier? All of those types of things will be talked about. Now, what abilities are important for wide receivers? Goal takeoff, right? That's by far away the most important thing that a receiver can get. So we're going to start off with Tank Dell, who is, in my opinion, a really good wide receiver in this game. Like, if you look at Tank Dell's stats, 96 speed, catching-wise, good. 98 acceleration is solid. Route running's good. Like, Tank Dell is a really solid wide receiver on the game. But doesn't get goal takeoff, and he is an LTD, so he's going to be relatively expensive. Not super expensive, but relatively expensive. Really good card, but no goal takeoff. Again, I'm going to mention that a lot throughout this video. Tank Dell is good. A tier is where he does ultimately belong. Thornton Jr. up next, and this is where it gets tough. Honestly, I'm going to throw Tank Dell at B tier because Thornton Jr. is better than Tank Dell. He is. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, Thornton Jr. is obviously better. The problem with Thornton Jr. is he does not get goal takeoff. Honestly, as far as statistically speaking, he's one of your best wide receivers in the game. He is 97 speed, 98 acceleration. Route running, again, is incredible. Can boost the chemistry, change the scheme, boost it times two. One of your best receivers in the game. Problem is no goal takeoff. Not worth his price, in my opinion. He's A tier. Really good, but A tier. Daniel Jackson up next. Only a 95 overall wide receiver. Not a horrible wide receiver. 95 speed. Decent route runner. Like, he's fine. I'm going to go C tier, though. Not great. Corey Rucker up next. Wide receiver. None of these guys are going to have that goal takeoff, sadly. 95 speed. Good route runner. Same. C tier. Like, fine wide receivers in the game. Xavier Worthy up next. Wide receiver. Honestly, for his time, was incredibly good. The problem with Xavier Worthy is his time has came and his time has went. Like, he was one of the best receivers in the game for his specific time. The problem is that time is no longer. Silver takeoff at this stage is fine, but he is C tier. Keenan Allen, gold takeoff, one of your best receivers in the game. In my opinion, the second best receiver in the game probably right now? I'd have to look exactly, but 97 speed acceleration, 95 change direction, great release off the line of scrimmage. 93 deep route running isn't that great, but that goal takeoff is something special. Keenan Allen, S tier. Denzel Boston up next. And this is like one of the problems I have, right? He is a 97 overall, but he's got only 96 speed. And again, for a fraternities card, he's actually not bad. The majority of the fraternity cards are going to actually be worse than this, but his ability to make people miss in the open field isn't that great. 90 mid-rear route runner, 89 deep route running. It's just like, yikes for Denzel Boston. I mean, I guess B tier is probably what he deserves, but again, the card, in my opinion, is not that great whatsoever. And he does get a couple of platinum abilities, but they're not platinum abilities you want to run. Card's not great. Desmond Howard up next. For Desmond Howard, they really made this card pretty bad. 97 overall, but only has 95 speed. Again, it's like, what are we doing with these cards? I don't know. Yes, there are some stats for Desmond Howard I like, but overall, I just don't think Desmond Howard does enough to really be hyped up a ton. Only gets takeoff on silver once again. It's really tough to have him above B tier. Garrett Wilson, pretty solid card. And I think for Garrett Wilson, it just comes down to what you're wanting, right? Does fit that spread scheme, so if you like that, obviously high. Does have that 97 speed, which is one of your fastest receivers at a 97 overall. Route running is obviously good, 6 feet tall. I do think Garrett Wilson does enough to belong in that A tier of cards. I don't think he's as good as Thornton side by side, especially, considering Thornton's better, but A tier is where he belongs. AJ Brown, fine. C tier at this stage. Keshawn Williams, I mean, he's fine, but it's just like, at this stage, he's just not great. 96 speed, 95 acceleration. Again, maybe he's better than I gave him credit for. He's at least C tier, maybe B tier. I'm going to go C tier, though. I just at 5'9", don't love him. Ryan Williams does have good speed. I'm not blown away by Ryan Williams. And a lot of it comes down for Ryan Williams is the ability to make people miss in the open field. 74 spin, 74 juke move. Like, what are we really doing here? Yeah, the 97 speed, the 98 acceleration. That's all cool. Like, and it's good. Silver takeoff, though. 97 deep route running. A tier, I guess, because he is fast. Andre Johnson is A tier. Doesn't get any really good abilities. But if you just need a receiver in which you don't care about abilities, pick up Andre Johnson. I love this card. Don't give him abilities because his abilities suck. But the card is extremely good. I use Andre Johnson as my third receiver that doesn't get abilities, and he's really, really, really good. Adunze up next, 97 overall. Here's what you're getting out of Adunze on the field. You're getting a card with 96 speed, decent acceleration, great route running. Again, just such a complete card. Only 96 speed, but the rest of the stats are incredibly good. Again, only silver takeoff. I do think, is Adunze good enough to throw at that A tier? I think he is. I think he's better than a guy like Tank Dell, honestly. Smith Evans up next. What in the world is Evans really doing on the field? Honestly, I don't know. Like Simeon Evans, 95 speed, route running stinks, doesn't make people miss in the open field. Honestly, like EA should have left this guy in the vaults. Like I don't know what this card really does for you guys at all on the field. And again, I'm not trying to hate on him, but this card stinks. Honestly, F tier. Travis Hunter, wide receiver card. I mean, C tier. For his time was obviously really good, but that time has came, that time is when. Travis Hunter wide receiver card is no longer what he once was. And we've got so many different Travis Hunters, it's tough. Card's just not obviously great at this stage, C tier. Jeremiah Smith, Nightmare card up next. For his time was so good. But again, that time is no longer. Like, Jeremiah Smith was so good at one stage with that 97 deep route running. Time is no longer C tier. Nick Marsh. I don't know, man. And Marsh is one of your cheapest wide receivers at a 96 overall, but 96 speed, honestly, he's not that bad. Like, for his value, honestly, Nick Marsh is actually pretty solid. I'm going to argue B tier. I'm going to argue he's just as good as Desmond Howard. I mean, for 70,000 coins, I don't hate him. Rock Taylor up next, and now we're going to get to all these 95s that just leave a lot to be desired. Like, for Rock Taylor, 94 speed. I mean, route running's actually okay. I guess C tier, he's fine. 96 overall Travis Hunter, maybe B tier. It just stinks though that, like, again, none of these cards do come with the great abilities. So for the 96 Travis Hunter, sure, the 97 speed is fantastic. Route running's actually good. He's actually pretty solid. I'm going to throw him at B tier, but the card is actually good. Cam Camper, D tier, not great. Randy Moss up next. Honestly, guys, and I'm not trying to gas him, but Randy Moss was ahead of his time. When Randy Moss came out, he was so good. Good route runner. Obviously, you know, did a lot of things on the field, but only silver takeoff. I don't know why I used to think Randy Moss had gold takeoff. I just think it's because he was so good for his time. C tier. Badger up next. Stinks. F tier. Nick Nash is extremely good. Honestly, the guy I'm going to compare Nick Nash to a lot is Andre Johnson. These two are some of your most complete wide receivers in the game if you are looking for cards that do not get abilities, right? Like, I do think Andre Johnson, Nick Nash are relatively similar cards. Both cards extremely, extremely good. Both do deserve the A tier. They just don't get those great abilities. Jaden Greathouse, I think does enough to go at B tier. If you do use your upgrade token on him, throw him at A tier. But I love the way he blocks. I don't know. Is he B tier? I'm going to throw lower end of B tier. I do like the card. Wes Welker, C tier. I just, like, honestly, you know what? For Wes Welker, I'm not going to overly hate. And hear me out with Wes Welker. I don't think the card is perfect. But 95 speed, 97 short route running, I still think he's C tier. He's not bad, but he's just not great. Dakotas Crawford, he's not bad. He is A tier, but, like, it's just tough with Dakotas Crawford. Like, again, doesn't get those great abilities. He does have the 97 speed, 97 deep route running. He's just only 6 feet tall. He does deserve A tier. Card's not perfect. Jalen Waddle at this stage, C tier. Not bad, not great. Deebo Samuel. I feel like people gas Deebo Samuel. And, again, I'm not saying he's bad, but I feel like, again, 96 speed, maybe he deserved to be gassed. I guess I will throw him A tier higher than I had him. B tier for Samuel. I'm throwing Tank Dell up a tier. I do think he does deserve that lower end of A tier. Jeremiah Smith, B tier. He's not bad, but that is ultimately where he belongs. Tyler Boyd, he is your second best receiver in the game. I gassed Keenan Allen. Tyler Boyd is your second best receiver in the game. Gets that gold takeoff. There's just no real flaws in Tyler Boyd. The card is an absolute stud. Not your best receiver in the game, but at number 2, that's where he belongs. He is your second best wide receiver in the game. 97 speed. Great route runner. Gets that gold takeoff. Your second best receiver in the game is that Tyler Boyd card. Sketch up next in College Football 25 Ultimate Team. I wish I could gas Sketch more than I really can. Does get a 98 overall card. Slot receiver. Short route running is absolutely ideal. But he's 5'6". And so doesn't get gold takeoff 5'6". I'm sorry, Sketch. You got to go to B tier. I feel bad doing it. But they only gave you 96 speed. They didn't make you very good. You'd be a fun card to use, but you are a B tier wide receiver. Tet McMillan, I don't know why they made Tet so bad on this game. Like, genuinely speaking. I don't get it for Tet. This card should be so good. And he's just really like, yes, his route running is good, but 92 deep route running combined that with his lowish, his lowish takeoff is only on, silver. It's really tough for me to get behind Tet McMillan. Now, he does get that platinum takeoffs or platinum press pro. So if people like to play that press coverage, I mean, again, could be useful in those situations, but I don't love him. Dane Key at this stage. Just a wide receiver that I don't know about. Like 95 speed at this stage. He's fine, but he is B tier. Campbell up next. I think for his time, Campbell was extremely good. For his time, 95 overall, 95 speed, 95 deep route running, 6'5" as well. Like, again, for his time, was an absolute beast. The problem is at this stage, it's just like we've got so many different receivers that can do what he can do. And that's the big problem I see with Campbell. Still solid, but that is the big problem. Amon-Ra St. Brown, probably lower end of A tier. He's fine. Not one of your best receivers in the game, though. Jaden Bradley, I mean, again, it's tough. Like, at this stage, it's like, where do you rank? Jaden Bradley, 93 speed. I'm going to go D tier. He's not horrible, not worthless, but that's where he belongs. CeeDee Lamb up next, 97 overall wide receiver. Doesn't get any, he does not get that gold takeoff, but he does get 97 speed. Does belong in that A tier. Not perfect, but A tier is ultimately where the card does deserve to go. Jordan Addison, C tier. He's just not great. Stat-wise, just not great. Jacoby Jones, I guess C tier, but I don't love him. John Ross is a card I love. John Ross, your best wide receiver in the game still to this day. Does get that gold takeoff. So tough to defend against what John Ross gives you. 97 speed, 98 acceleration, 98 deep route running. He is your best wide receiver in the game. And it's crazy that after all this time, John Ross is still that wide receiver one, but he is. And again, I'm not hating on him, but he is that wide receiver, or I'm not trying to gas him in price, but right now he is your best wide receiver in the game. And if you disagree, I think simply put, you don't know ball. Like, if you disagree that he is not your best wide receiver in the game, tell me why you think that, because I think it's not even close. I think, John Ross is the elite of the elites. Next up, we do see Trevor Pena. Had his time. His times came, his times went. C tier. He's still fine. Xavier Restrepo, B tier. Fine. Doesn't get those great abilities. B tier is where he belongs. Tavon Austin, B tier. They just didn't make the card great. Could argue lower end of A tier, but I think B tier is where he belongs. TJ Moore, 95 speed, low end of B tier, maybe. If Campbell's got to get moved down. I'm sorry. And so does Moore. Like, these are cards that are fine, but they do not deserve that B tier. Hayes up next. I have no idea what this card honestly looks like. I'd be lying to say I do. 95 speed, decent catching the football, 5'9". D tier. I'm fine with D tier. Chris Olave up next. B tier probably for Olave. I mean, again, I think because if you're looking at him, he does get that 97 speed. Wow, I didn't actually know he had 97 speed. Gotta go A tier. Chris Olave with 97 speed. A tier is where he belongs. Again, doesn't get the best abilities, but A tier is where he belongs. Jalen Noel, look, I ran him for the longest time, and I don't mind Jalen Noel, but he is B tier. It's where he belongs. Can't go any higher with him with that. Chad Johnson, I mean, B tier probably for Chad Johnson too. He's not bad. Gets the 96 speed. But B tier is where he belongs. Vander Ross, C tier. I mean, just not a great card. Corey Coleman, this might surprise some people. S tier. Gets the gold takeoff. I mean, this is your best value wide receiver in the game right now is Corey Coleman. And honestly, it's not particularly close. No, stat-wise, he's not the elite of the elite. But I don't care, guys. He gets gold takeoff. And because of that, you've got to hype the card up. I do not care about the rest of it. Gold takeoff is literally the most important thing a card can have. Corey Coleman gets it on gold, so I'm going to gas the card. I'm going to hype the card up. He does deserve that S tier. And again, I don't necessarily love putting him there, but that's where he does belong. Braxton Miller, last but certainly not least, he's fine. He's a B tier card. He's a B tier wide receiver. The card's not bad, but again, because of the abilities or the lack thereof, he does deserve B tier. That's going to wrap it up for my list. It's sad how much takeoff, matters on this list, but if you don't care about takeoff, A tier wide receivers are the name of the game. Obviously, I ranked my S tier in the order I'd personally have them. But again, I just don't love the fact that, John Ross is over 1 million coins. I don't love the fact that Tyler Boyd is 700,000 coins. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to rank cards where you think they belong. And that's exactly what I did here. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments. Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.